last few months have been a little wild. But like I said in the beginning, if it meant I was running myself ragged, I'm not gonna boast. But let me catch you guys up on what's been going on. So first off, last time you guys saw me, we finished putting the body kit on the car, and then immediately after that, Jimmy and I went to Japan for 2 weeks.
Oh boy, ouch. Oh.
And as soon as we got back, I was really excited to drive, and the whole plan was to take this car out and drive it as much as I possibly could. This, on the other hand, was not really part of the plan. But shit happens. While that's been down, I've been trying to stack some upgrades and some much needed improvements. But we'll get to that at a later time. Car season is here, and that means that we have been going at it around here for events and staying incredibly busy, but that's not the point of this video. I personally don't really get attached to vehicles, and so I made a decision quite a while ago that some of you may not have expected. Let's reel it back. Let me give you some context. I'm a car guy through and through. My first car was this thing, my GTO, and I know that we still need to make a video about that car, and I'm really excited to make that one. I've had this thing, I had a 240, I had an E46, I had my JZX, now I have my FRS. I've had a bunch of cars, and the reasons for why I wanted those cars are vast and wide. Cars are easy. I could give you a million different reasons and a million different cars that I want to own. The one thing that I think is really hard for me to decide on is a truck. I think trucks are something that go underappreciated in the car world. Don't get me wrong, I like trucks. Honestly, I like every aspect of automotive culture, but I don't really consider myself a truck guy. But there comes a time, and I think every guy or girl's automotive journey, where they either want or need a truck. It doesn't really matter what you're building. It doesn't matter if it's a drift car, a show car, drag car, time attack car, sand rail, trophy truck. It doesn't matter. You get to a point where you need a tow vehicle to take your build from the spot that you built it, whether that's your shop or your home, to the event that you actually want to take the build to. The type, especially here in America, is that you need the biggest and the baddest truck around. Most guys want the 2500, the 3500, big dick diesel. They want the Power Stroke, the Cummins, or the Duramax, and it has been ingrained in our heads from a very young age that that is just what a truck actually is. But that's not always the case. I think all of those trucks are cool, and yes, I would love to have one, but just to keep it simple, I can't afford it. The new ones go for close to $100,000, and then if you want a decent one on the used market, you're looking to spend at least like $30,000 for a solid used one. I just can't do that. It's just overkill for what I need. I tow a open single car trailer. I bring a few spares to the track, some jugs, and then all my tools. I need a truck that is capable, but all of those options, they're just overkill. I called myself a hipster in a previous video, and I still think that that's the case here. I'm actually a huge fan of when people can take something that is out of the norm and something that isn't the most commonly used, and they make it work to their best ability. My first tow vehicle was an E350 7.3 Power Stroke passenger van. I got that thing for $3,000. I wish I still had it. I got obsessed with the idea of building that thing out. I got obsessed with the idea of van life and making it like the most utility vehicle that I possibly could. Lo and behold, good deal for a 240 comes up, and I sold it. A few years down the line, I find myself in Connecticut, and my first Northeast winter is approaching. I don't want to daily my JZX throughout the winter, so I decided to get a 100 series Toyota Land Cruiser. I had an LX 470 with the infamous million-mile Toyota 2UZ. This thing could tow 6,500 pounds. It was an incredible vehicle to daily drive. It just wasn't the greatest tow vehicle. If you know anything about Toyotas, I did actually have one of the older models, so it had the 4-speed auto in it instead of the 5-speed auto, which is found in the later years. And the 4-speed was kind of a dog. And so towing it to and from the track, even just on the simple trips where we would go up to Thompson, which is just like an hour away, you're going up and down hills, and that thing would struggle. It could do it, but it did not do it efficiently. It could tow, but it wasn't meant to tow. If I was a homebody, if my local track was just like a couple hours away, I would honestly still have the Land Cruiser. I'm at a point in my life though, with my job, the friends and the people that are around me, that I have a ton of opportunity to go drive a lot and a bunch of different places that I never thought I'd actually have the opportunity to go to before. So I needed something a little more capable. I went on the deep dive researching every single option that I could. I'm one of those people that when I want to make a big purchase like that, I research the hell out of it until your fingers are hurting and your brain is swollen from all the information that you're taking in, because I want to learn absolutely every single thing that I can about it. But after an insane amount of research, I came across an option that I really thought was going to be the best. I got a 2017 Chevy Colorado with the Duramax in it. It was my perfect way of compromising getting a diesel, not getting one of the huge overkill trucks. It has a 2.8 turbo 4-cylinder diesel engine in it. It gets 25 miles to the gallon, and it can tow 8,000 pounds. It's small, it's unassuming, it's daily drivable, and could easily tow my vehicle wherever I needed it to. Overseas, in Japan, Australia, New Zealand, these tiny little diesel trucks are a dime a dozen. There's so many different options, from the Ford Ranger, the Hi-Ace. They have these Duramaxes over there. They just have a ton of different options for these kinds of trucks. And this was the only one that America really offered. On paper, it was perfect. But in reality, I don't know if it really made the most sense. These trucks were kind of a gamble. You would hear stories of people who absolutely loved them and adored them, and then on the other side, you would hear horror stories of wire chafing, trans slipping, holes and pistons from stuck injectors, or the endless amount of problems that you would get from the emission system. So I flipped a coin, I took the gamble, and I fell short. Easily within a year of ownership, the truck left me stranded probably 4 or 5 times. It would constantly go into limp mode over the silliest of malfunctions or check engine lights. It would limit itself to 20 miles an hour and would leave me there. It didn't matter if I was towing, if I was on the highway, it didn't matter. It would just put you in limp mode and you were stuck. I fixed a ton of issues with that truck, and honestly, by the end of my ownership, it was really solid. It could have went for the next 200,000 miles, or it could have had the check engine light come on again in 10 miles. I didn't know. And that was the thing. I didn't trust it anymore. Every time I got in it, I got this little twinge of anxiety of not knowing if I was gonna make it from point A to point B again. And with this vehicle that is supposed to be my daily driver, and also more importantly, is supposed to take my biggest asset to and from tracks far across the country, I needed something I could trust with the utmost confidence. So I went back to my route and I did exactly what I should have done from the very beginning. And I got my 2012 Toyota Tundra. A lot of you guys might see this as a downgrade, maybe a step backwards. I see this as a solid step towards simplicity. I honestly don't really care for the fancy shit. Cloth, non-heated seats, there's no sunroof, no Apple CarPlay. Just a good million-mile Toyota V8 and a truck that I know will turn on and get me from point A to point B every single time that I twist the key. Of course, they make fancier models with fancier amenities for these trucks. They make the limited, the platinums, the 1794 editions, which are super fucking cool, by the way. They're just all really expensive relative to this thing. Only thing I had that I really wanted for this truck was I wanted a center shift console, not the column one, and I wanted a Crew Max. So it has the bigger back doors, so I have a ton of room in the back seat, and it also has the really cool option of the roll down back window, which I fucking love. Those are really honestly the things that I wanted out of this truck. I know that if I want to change anything, these trucks have a massive amount of aftermarket support. Parts for them are pretty cheap. If I want to upgrade the seats, if I want to put an Apple CarPlay head unit in it, or whatever the case may be. But this truck is a solid foundation. Honestly, couldn't have worked out better. It was about 45 minutes away. It was a second owner truck. The first person that owned it was a man in the military, and he sold it to one of his best friends in the military. They had a stack of paperwork for it. They lived in a really nice neighborhood, so I know that they took care of the truck. it was a no-brainer buy. And the best thing about it, especially being a Northeast vehicle, the frame is met. There's a little surface rust here and there, which is to be expected, but there is absolutely no rot on this thing. Definitely the biggest vehicle that's ever been in the shop. Honestly, not huge into off-roading, rock crawling, mud bogging, what have you, off-road activities, but I do love the idea of a truck that is capable. The first and main priority of this truck is to be my daily driver all year round. The second priority, and arguably just as important, is to be able to tow my car to and from any track that I desire. After the vehicle has completed those two tasks, anything else other than that is a complete bonus to me. But like I said, having a daily that is actually capable, maybe of some light off-roading, overlanding, camping, you know, get into another realm of automotive culture that isn't just cars, that's where the idea of the Tundra comes in. As one of the only car guys in my family, I usually get asked a lot by family and friends, what's the best car for me in whatever situation they can come up with? Drift car, track car, daily driver. And my answer is always Toyota. I remember a year ago, I was on the phone with my mom and I was talking to her about buying the Colorado, and we talked about why I'm not getting a Toyota. Why am I not just getting the Tundra? Because she's asked me time and time again, what truck should I get if I was gonna get a truck? And I would say a Tacoma, because she doesn't do any hauling or towing. Tundra is the answer, and that was the answer a year ago. I tried to get the Colorado because it was fuel efficient and I thought that it would have been the better all-around truck, but I gambled and I lost. But a year later, I'm back where I should have been. I'm super hyped on my truck, but the coolest thing about this, Jordy got one too. They're twins. What, Ebony and Ivory? Yeah. Yeah.